Hello and welcome to the second video in the Demystifying language series. In this video, we will be exploring participants. In the previous video, we explored processes of doing, sensing, and being. A participant is something that is involved in the process in some way. And each of the three kinds of processes have their own kind of participants. Let's start with doing. Doing processes have an actor and a goal. For example, my puppy dog chewed up my shoes. This clause contains one doing process, chewed up, and two participants, my puppy dog and my shoes. Because my puppy dog is doing the action of chewing, it's the actor. It's doing this action to my shoes. My shoes are the focus of the puppy's action. Therefore, my shoes are called the goal. It's important to note that the goal can come first when we use a passive clause. So, my puppy dog chewed up my shoes can be flipped to become my shoes were chewed up by my puppy dog. Even though the order has changed, the function of each participant is still the same. Next is sensing. Sensing processes have a sensor and a phenomenon. For example, Annie likes chocolate ice cream. The sensing process is likes, and the participants are Annie and chocolate ice cream. As Annie is the one feeling or sensing this emotion of liking something, she is the sensor. The chocolate ice cream, which is the thing that's causing her to feel this emotion, is known as the phenomenon. Clauses with a sensing process can often be flipped. For example, Annie likes chocolate ice cream can be flipped to become chocolate ice cream pleases Annie. These two sentences have slightly different wording, but they mean the same thing. However, it's important to note this because it shows that the phenomenon can sometimes come first in a clause. Lastly, we have being. Being processes have a carrier and a description or an identity. For example, my mum has brown hair. The being process is has, and the participants are my mum and brown hair. As brown hair is a part of my mum's physical description, we call this participant description. And as it's my mum that's possessing or carrying this physical appearance or description, we call that participant the carrier. Let's look at one more example, but this time with an identity as the second participant. My mum is our swimming coach. This is very similar to the previous clause, except this time the second participant, in this case our swimming coach, isn't really describing my mum, but rather singling her out or identifying her as the coach. We can make sure if something is an identity or a description by seeing if we can swap the position of the participants. An identity can come first in a sentence, but a description usually can't. So, my mum is our swimming coach and our swimming coach is my mum. Both mean the same thing, and they both make sense. However, if we take my mum has brown hair and flip it to become brown hair has my mum, this doesn't really make sense in typical everyday communication. Okay, to recap, doing processes can have an actor and a goal. Sensing processes can have a sensor and a phenomenon, and being processes can have a carrier and a description or identity. To help make sure we've got it, let's try identifying processes and participants in a few more sentences. Write down this sentence. The lion caught the tourist. Now underline the process and put brackets around the participants. Pause the video to give yourself more time. Okay, here's the answer. Caught is a doing process, and the lion and the tourist are participants. So, which participant is the actor and which is the goal? The lion is the actor, and the tourist is the goal. If we flipped them to create a passive sentence, the tourist was caught by the lion is still the actor, even though the word order has changed slightly. The lion is still the one doing the action of catching. Alright, next sentence. Today's weather is going to be hot. Write this down, then underline the process and bracket the participants. Here's the answer. Did you get it right? It's alright if you didn't. It can be a tricky one. Is going to be is a single being process. It's just in a future tense. Now, which participant is the carrier and which is the description or identity? Hot is the description and today's weather is the carrier. It's the thing that's being described as being hot. Okay, last one. We surprised our teacher. Write it down, underline the process, and bracket the participants. Here's the answer. Okay, now make sure you think really carefully about this final question. Which participant is the sensor and which is the phenomenon? Our teacher is the one that is feeling surprised, so that's the sensor. And we are the phenomenon because we caused our teacher to feel that sensation. Whatever it was that we did to cause them to feel surprised could be described in a separate clause, most likely with a doing process. You may have noticed by now that I've been using the word clause instead of sentence. That's because they're not exactly the same thing. A clause is a string of information centered around one main process. Sentences are made up of clauses. A sentence can contain one clause, or it can contain several clauses. For example, I took some medicine. This is a sentence that contains one single clause. It's centered around the doing process, took. Now let's add another clause. I took some medicine and felt better. This is still one sentence, but it now contains two clauses because there are two separate processes. The second clause is centered around the sensing process, felt. I'll go into more detail on this in a future video about logical meaning. That's the end of this video. Make sure to check out the next video where I introduce the last of the three basic function groups, circumstances.